Hey there! Today we're going to review a pen of which I've already reviewed the larger brother. This pen came from Ron at penchalet.com. He sent it to Aziza from gourmetpens.com. She'll review it and she sent it on to me so that I can review it as well. So keep an eye on her site to see her review. And this is the pen Sailor 1911 Standard. I have reviewed the 1911 Large with a zoom nib, which has also featured in at least one shootout, I think. And this is its smaller brother, the Standard. And this is also a clear pen, a demonstrator, as you can see. Alright, I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Let's start at the top, right there, the finial of the pen. As you can see, all clear, and we have these gold highlights. You can see the nib, that's a plus, and then on the center band it says Sailor, Japan, and then it says founded 1911. Alright, now we turn it around. This is the barrel. It takes a converter. There you see some discoloration. I'll come back to that. And then we have the thing at the end of the barrel. Okay, you unscrew the cap to reveal the section. The pen posts securely. You get a decently sized pen. And unposted, I think it's somewhat on the small size, but then again, it's the standard, not the large 1911. The nib is 14 karat gold, and this is their music nib, which is actually not a 3-tine nib, as is quite common. It is something different. It's a 2-tine nib, but it does have a stub-like quality, as you can see there. In fact, because I want to show you that a bit better, let me whip out my loop and get all loopy. Focus. You see it has that sort of broad, flat, stub-like quality. Okay, so 14 karat gold. It has 1911 on there, as well as Sailor's anchor logo. Very cool. It says 14 karat 585, and then below that I'm pretty sure it says Sailor, but it's such small print I can't even read it. Yes, it says Sailor in stylized letters. Alright. The pen is filled with either cartridges or a converter. Converter is supplied with the pen, and the reason this part of my barrel discolored was that I put Sailor apricot in the converter. I put it in my pen pouch, as I always do. I put the pen pouch in my bag, as I always do. A motorcycle. Okay. That's fascinating. It's complete and utter chaos. What's happening? Maybe it's the end of the world. Maybe we're all gonna die. I don't think so. Let's just continue the review as if nothing happened. The problem was that ink actually came out the back of the converter. Believe it or not, at this turning knob, right there, there is an opening. That's the opening that the actual piston slides through. I don't know how well you can see that. Ink leaked out. It got behind the piston seal and it leaked out, filled up the barrel. The good thing is, now I know you could turn this into an eyedropper because the barrel is waterproof. However, there are threads in there, and those threads are probably what keep this end thing in place, but I was unable to unscrew it, and I've tried pretty hard. And that was actually discolored by ink. I tried everything. I poured bleach in. That is watered down bleach. Didn't work. So I'm afraid that if you turn this into an eyedropper, be prepared for that discoloration. Also, very odd that the converter leaked. I have never experienced a converter leak in that manner. I have used Sailor converters before. Never had any issue. So maybe that was a lemon. Right now it seems fine. Who knows what happens. And no, the converter did not become dislodged. It was perfectly snug into the section. Anyway, what do I like about the pen? What do I not like about the pen? I find the nib pleasant to write with, but a little bit dry. And also, I find the amount of line variation not as great as I would expect from a music nib, but it's a pleasant nib to use, although a bit dry. I like the overall shape of the pen. I like its larger brother better. That's just because of the size of my hands. I find this a little bit small, but it is pleasant. It is a 14K nib. It writes smoothly. Another thing I don't really like is that these Sailor converters just don't hold a lot of ink. Especially in a somewhat broader nib, like this music nib, they drain very quickly. So in that case, an eyedropper conversion would actually be a nice thing because it just gives you more ink. So that's what I like about it. What I not like about it? Let's take a couple of measurements before I do the writing sample. I get 135 millimeters capped, uncapped, 117 millimeters. Section diameter at the narrowest spot about 9.5, and at the widest spot about 10.5 millimeters. And what we need is weight, about half full of ink. I have 20 grams, which is not super light if you consider this is pretty much an all plastic pen. It just has a little bit of metal in the section there. In all, a very nice pen, but I'm sure you're dying to see how this music nib writes. So that's what we're going to do next. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Alright, well here we go with the Sailor 1911 Standard. Oh, I'm so fancy, I have a standard pen. With a music nib. The nibs are alive with the sound of music. And this might very well be Edelstein Garnet ink. Which I think is a pretty cool ink. Okay, let's do some writing. There is the typical Sailor feedback, which is not scratchiness, it's just feedback. I don't find it disturbing. You'll also note the line variation. That is quite apparent. And you may also note that relative dryness. You see it actually is running dry already. And that is something I've experienced a couple of times now with this nib. It's quite dry. Okay, fast writing. Again, it runs pretty dry. Now, were you to apply a bit more pressure, then you get a really nice wet line. And I think this is one of the classic instances where the two tines of the nib actually touch, and were they to open up a little bit more, they probably would write, the nib would write better. So that's what I'm going to do at some point, tune the nib a little bit. Alright, wetness, well I told you it runs dry, but if I exert some pressure, you get a very nice wet nib. Line variation, 14K nib, relatively soft. As you can see, it opens up nicely, but even under no pressure, you see there's a strong difference between these strokes and those strokes because of the stub shape of the nib. So, Ron at the Pen Chalet, thanks a lot for sending us this pen. I really appreciate it. I think it's a very fascinating nib. One that may require a little bit of work, but then it's probably going to write perfectly. I like this pen a lot. I hope this review was useful, guys, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.